This summer, Instacart is bringing back your favorites from 1999 with prices from 1999. That means 90s prices on juice pouches that ought to be respected, 90s prices on box mac and cheese, and 90s prices on ham, cheese, and cracker lunches. Enjoy all those throwbacks and more at throwback prices, only through Instacart. $4.72 maximum discount per $10 of eligible items. Limit one offer per order. Expires September 5th while supplies last. Discount based on CPI comparison.
Out here, it's not only the amazing views, but the way time stretches out a little longer. How laughter bellows louder among friends, and how the breeze hits just right at the summit. With All Trails, you can discover and experience the best of nature with over 450,000 trails worldwide and navigation right at your fingertips. Find your outside with All Trails. Download the free app today and find your next outdoor adventure.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kilowatt, a podcast about electric vehicles, renewable energy, autonomous driving, and much, much more. And on today's episode, we have much, much more. We have the very kind and entertaining and just lovely human being that is Lamarr Wilson on this episode. Lamarr and I are going to talk about a topic that a few of you folks from the community have actually emailed me about, and that is, should I get a new EV before the $7,500 federal tax credit goes away? And some of you are in the same boat that Lamarr's in, of maybe possibly having to break a lease in order to take advantage of that $7,500 tax credit. So Lamarr and I are going to talk about the positives and negatives of doing that. We're going to talk about what he likes about the new Model Y, which is one of his choices for making a purchase or making a lease decision, is the new updated Model Y, which I think is fantastic. It's a great looking car, and I wish my car has a lot of the features that this car has. We'll talk about that. And then also, Lamarr mentioned when he was back on with Pat Dingler, Lamarr mentioned that he was interested in the BMW iX X50, xDrive 50. And that is just a luxurious car. It is so luxurious. So we compare the two. And honestly, you wouldn't think that, you should compare a, say $50,000 car with a $75,000 or $80,000 car. Those two should not be comparable. But you know what? Tesla puts so much tech into their vehicles that they are. And when Lamarr and I got together and we decided to talk about this, I went out and did a search, and I was just like, comparisons, Model Y and the BMW iX. And there are so many comparisons between that. And you would think that it would be the Model X and the BMW, but no, it's the Model Y. There's a lot of comparisons online, and it compares very well against that iX. I think you're going to enjoy this conversation. Now, if you're a patron, you don't have to worry about this. But if you're listening on the ad feed, I'm going to play an ad right quick so you can listen to the entire interview uninterrupted.
Hi, this is Francis from Fixable, a podcast from TED. These days, every finance leader is under pressure to save money. But you can't beat the competition just by cutting costs. To win, you need to spend smarter and move faster. You need Brex. Brex is the modern finance platform that breaks the trade-off between control and speed with intelligent corporate cards, high-yield banking, and AI-powered expense management. Join the 30,000 companies that spend smarter and move faster with Brex. Learn more at brex.com/grow.
The McDonald's Snack Wrap is back. You brought it back. Ranch Snack Wrap. Spicy Snack Wrap. You broke the internet. For a snack. Snack Wrap is back. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Epic views, waterfall mists, summit sunsets, It's all better outside. And with All Trails, you can discover the best of nature with over 450,000 trails around the world. Download the free app today and find your next adventure.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
All right, ad complete. Let's go ahead and welcome Lamarr to the show.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Thanks for coming back, buddy. I'm really excited to talk about this. You messaged me about a week ago, and you were contemplating breaking your current Model Y lease and maybe going with a new updated Model Y or a different vehicle. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I currently have the 2024 Tesla Model Y. Previous to that, I had the 2021. I leased mine. So my lease was up in the last one. Last year around, I guess, February, March, I got the Model Y. They refreshed 2024 edition. It's fine. There's a couple of fit and finish things I still have to adjust, which is annoying. But it's better than the 2021 one. I don't do a lot of miles on it. It's it runs great. I have no complaints. But then this new model came out. I got to admit, Bodie, it's a lot of it, from what I said to you, is FOMO. I'm seeing these. I'm in LA, so I see a lot of them on the road. And, seeing, just the sleekness of it. And, of course, I looked it up. Haven't had a chance to test drive one, but looked it up and I was like, man, this looks great. And I don't want to call myself stuck, but my lease goes to 2027. And I'm like, man, I almost wish I waited for this one. This is the why I wanted with some of these upgrades. I think it has a rear screen, with 4 passengers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the biggest features, especially being in LA, is the suspension. Just a better ride. I like my car, but sometimes it could bounce around on these streets. So, just when I'm looking at some features, I'm like that. That's one that stands out. I can, we could talk about more details of why I like it or don't a little later. But and then the other reason, honestly, I saw in the news about the federal tax credit ending, which we kind of knew this administration was probably going to happen. But just to hear that, this is happening, this is going to expire, kind of made me wonder, man, is this a time that I'll never get that $7,500 again? And I remember when I got this car last year, it was a crazy deal. So it was $7,500 at the time around February-ish, I believe. They were doing March. They were doing a end of quarter. Let's get, we had too many Ys. So they offered another $4,000 off. And if I went to go pick it up from Irvine, which was about an hour drive, I got another $1,000 off. So all in total, to trade in my car, I got a little trade-in credit for that. It's the lease, bringing it in with no issues. I saved about $13,000, which is crazy, so. Yeah. Thinking about, and I know I probably won't get that much this time, but just thinking about that savings to lose, I mean, $7,500 is a lot of money. But as you pointed out, and I'm sure you'll point out here in the show, there's also the canceling of a lease. What the difference? What is that? Would I make that worth it? And so that's something, of course, we could talk about that I have to consider.
Yeah, let's jump into that right now. Have you looked into the cost? And then there is sometimes, especially towards the end of a quarter, Tesla will be more motivated. So if you go to a Tesla store and you talk to a salesperson, it may not be, there may not be any cost to break a lease if you're going to go with the Model Y versus the other vehicle, which we should probably talk about. Just real quick, do you want to mention the other vehicle you're looking at is?
Oh, yeah. Besides the Model Y, the other vehicle I'm looking at is the BMW iX. It's the xDrive 50 edition. That's way too much money, but I like I like that vehicle a lot. And you want me to give details now, or you want to wait till?
No. Let's talk about the lease first, and then, but just so everybody isn't hanging until 10 minutes in.
Understood. So here's my issue with my lease initially. When I leased my first one in 2021, it was directly through Tesla. So it was kind of easy to work with them. It's seamless. I'm paying them. My lease is now with Ally, and I didn't have a choice in that matter. And so I'm finding working with a third party is a little bit more difficult, at least communicating. And I did reach out to them, and I am able to go to their site. I was able to call them and find out, hey, you essentially with a lease, you have to pretty much pay it off. Like if you're going to get out of it, there's a balance due. And so mine is about 8,000, maybe close. I think it's around 8,000 now. And that's a significant. I mean, I literally just lose that. If I turn it in early, no matter what, I'm going to lose that money. And so that's a chunk. And last time I looked at it is when everybody had this fervor about get rid of your Teslas because, Elon. And I just, I looked just to say, hey, what are people doing? A lot of people are getting rid of their Teslas. And I said, what if I like my Tesla, but what if I did that? What would the cost be? And I can't justify that. I can't justify just losing 8,000 for a moment in time because people are mad at a, we have to be mad at every CEO. They all do something bad. I just like, I'm not paying $8,000 to make people like me and be happy with me for 5 minutes.
Sure.
So that's the situation I'm in at the lease. And then I just find Ally said, oh, you just turn it into the Tesla dealer. They'll handle everything. But you still have to communicate with them after and send them paperwork. And I just rather the lease had been through Tesla. I just feel like it was a lot easier. I feel like negotiating would have been easier. Like if I went, like you said, if I went at the end of a quarter and say, hey, dude, I want to do a swap, I feel like they could work with me better than this talking to this bank.
And so Ally, for anybody that doesn't know, they're a bank, but they don't really have branches anywhere. I think they're more of an online type bank. And then they do a bunch of other financially stuff like this, what do they call them? I don't know what they call them. I'm not a financial person, obviously. But anyway, so Ally, is that who Tesla is specifically contracting through for this?
Yeah, I believe they're using a couple banks. Ally is one of them. That's the one I got stuck with.
Okay.
It just happened. And I thought I was just going to work through Tesla, but yeah, they brought in Ally. I'm not sure of the other bank. It's one or two others that they contract to. Yeah.
So that definitely adds some complication to it because for all of the positives and negatives that Tesla has as a company, one of the best things is you can actually go into a store, you could talk to somebody, and you can potentially get some sort of resolution or whatever. But at least you can go and talk to someone for the problem, and there's a person that represents the company. So, but when you have to go through a third party, that does stuff definitely makes it a little bit more complicated. And we're not throwing any shade at Ally. It's just does add complication.
Yeah,
that's interesting because at one point in time, Tesla wanted all of the Model Ys back, or all of the leased vehicles back because that was going to fuel their robotaxi dreams.
Yes.
And now they're going through leasing companies. So I guess we always kind of thought it was officially dead when they said we're not going to be using these leased vehicles, but now I guess it'd be official. Okay, so we've looked at the early termination costs. We've talked about the Model Y and the BMW iX. When we do a spec comparison, you mentioned that the iX Drive 50, not a cheap vehicle. I think it starts at $85,000, whereas the Model Y starts around $48,000. But here's the thing, Lamarr, when I wrote the show doc up, the iX should technically be more compared to the Model X, but it's not. When you go online and you look at the iX, it compares to the Model Y an awful lot, which is a pretty decent compliment to Tesla when people are looking at these two vehicles, because they're not even thinking about the Model X. They're like, should I get a Model Y or should I get this BMW?
Yeah, I see that too. The specs are impressive, and they match up pretty well. But yeah, as you said, starting at I saw 87. I think it went up a little bit recently.
Oh,
So 87, and if I got the model I wanted, it would be past 90,000. And I don't know about you, I have a hard time just justifying that in my head, especially on a lease when you're limited in miles. But I don't even drive that much, to even recoup that. This will have to be a serious type of business expense, and even then, I don't know I just don't know if it's practical.
Sure. And we'll get into the business side of this here in a little bit. I thought we could go through the specs and compare them.
Yes.
When it comes to range, the Model Y in between 327 and 357, depending on if you go performance or long range. The xDrive 50, a very respectable 302 to 309 miles.
Yeah, and then the Model Y, as far as the 0 to 60, is 5.4 to 4.6, which is, it's good. I can't always hit that in LA, it'd be nice if there's traffic. And iX is 80 miles. Excuse me, 4.4 seconds. Look at the wrong line. Which is, I think it's pretty I don't know, a second difference. I think that's inconsequential.
Lamarr, right after our last time that we were on together, I was in San Diego and we had my wife's minivan and we were in Escondido and it's kind of rural in some of those places. And I was pulling out of a small road onto a 4-lane highway or a 4-lane road. And I saw a car and I was like, oh, I got this all day long. And I hit the accelerator. The front wheel drive tires just spun on rocks and then finally caught traction and took off. And then the person behind me, rightfully so, just laid on their horn for it felt like a quarter of a mile. It probably wasn't that long. It was probably just a few seconds. But
oh, wow.
I was like, it was so bad that I got off on the next left so I wouldn't have to continue driving next to this person.
In front of Yeah.
That's so funny. And that's 4.8 on the Model Y long range is what I have, or 4.9, something like that. So even at 5.4, you're still beating my wife's Chrysler minivan.
That's good.
And you're not going to spin your tires.
Good to know. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So charging time, not everybody measures charging time the same way, so it's kind of hard to get apples and apples comparison. But Tesla says in the first 15 minutes of a DC fast charge, you can get up to 182 miles. Now that's going to depend on the charger. It's going to depend on what your state of charge is on your battery. So I would not expect that to be an accurate number, but for real life, but that's what it says on their website. Whereas the BMW gets about 80 miles in the first 10 minutes. And I think that's very respectable. I'm not a DC fast charging expert, but
yeah, same. One thing I didn't check to see is if you can take a BMW. I believe you can do the NACS, but if it'll go to a charge with, how do you do the DC, the 350, I don't know if is that kilowatts. Shout out to the show. I don't know, because I know a lot of EVs that are not Tesla have I call it a rate limiter, but you can't charge. You can go to that charger, but it's only going to go so high to protect the battery. So I haven't checked to see if BMW allows the full level 3 charging or not.
Yeah. So the battery management system, which is I think what you're looking for, that's just gonna dictate how much energy it takes in. So that's reasonable. And I did check because I wasn't sure either. BMW does work on the Tesla supercharger network. And then you also have, I don't know if I saw one in Flagstaff, I think. But I haven't seen very many Magic docks, where that have this CCS adapter that's already on the charger.
Mm-hmm.
But, you still have access to the Tesla supercharger network. You might have to get an adapter, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Okay. And then top speed, which is neck to neck. Model Y is 125 miles and iX is 124. That's Tesla wins by a mile.
Yeah, if you really want to reach those speeds, Lamarr, there's a highway, the US 60 that runs pretty close to my house. Those folks, if you're driving 75 and a 65, you're still driving too slow. So if you wanted to test that, come out to Arizona.
Will do,
and you'll get that tested. In terms of autonomous driving features, you have autopilot and full self-driving, and then for BMW, you have highway assistant, which is really more like it's kind of a cross between autopilot and full self-driving with the features. And then you have personal pilot, which is not available on every car. I was all over BMW's website this morning to kind of figure out which cars could do this, which is basically level 3. And I was not able to really nail down. It's very vague. Mercedes and BMW, we'll get into the Mercedes side of this in a minute. Their websites, like Tesla lays it all out there for you to see, and it's pretty easy to look at. You're just going from page to page to page on some of these manufacturer websites to get information. So
I listened to one of your recent shows, and you were talking about some brand that claimed level 4, and I wasn't I forgot which one it was.
All right, everybody, I'm going to break in here. I'm currently editing, not currently, because by the time you're listening to this, I'm done editing. But right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm currently editing this episode. The company that Lamarr is referring to is BYD and their level 4 self-parking feature. I had mentioned on the episode that I don't know that falls into level 4 as a whole. I don't know if you can have everything else in your system as a level 2 or level 3, but you can have level 4 self-parking. So that's what we're referring to. Obviously, Lamarr and I both know that level 4 autonomous driving is a thing. So I just want to eliminate any confusion. All right, back to our interview with Lamarr Wilson.
You were like, it's not really technically a level 4. So they kind of make their own things up, I noticed.
Yeah. When I was at CES in 2023, I think it was. 2023. I would ask, does this vehicle have autonomous driving? And they say level 2 plus. And that's not a thing.
Level 2 plus.
Or advanced level 2. And I was like, it's still not a thing.
Still not a thing.
All right. What about the lease deals? So I didn't put purchase prices in here. We talked a little bit about those. But really, because you're leasing, I think that's the important metric.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know. I mean, I would say some people don't know. I certainly didn't because I've never really leased cars before 2017. I leased a BMW then, and I didn't realize a lease is just a percentage of the complete price. So it can be a good value for someone, in specific categories if you want to save some money. But yeah, it looks like the Model Y is $3,000 down for 36 months. And what's that 30,000 there?
That's the total contract is 30,000 miles.
The total contract. Gotcha.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh no, that's okay. 30,000 miles for $399, which is less than mine. I have always been taught to never put anything down on a lease because you don't have to, especially if you have good credit. So I'm not saying you shouldn't, but like if I walk in, I just want the car. I've never put anything down on a Tesla lease. So mine is a little higher, but it's less. It's interesting. Because of that discount I mentioned earlier, my monthly payment is about $150 less than the 2021 car I had. So I kind of came out ahead in this deal. The 2024 deal was crazy, so I paid more than $399, but less, much less than previous.
Nice.
Yeah, and then the iX, so they have $6,500 down. 36 months, total 30,000 miles, and that's $649, which, like I said, it's getting up there. And if I didn't put anything down, which I don't like to do, but if I didn't, I haven't done the math, but we're probably talking close to $1,000 a month, if not higher, I'm guessing.
Yeah, a friend of mine, she has an EQS EV. I think it's the EQS. It's a big SUV. Mm-hmm. She loves it. But she leases it, and it's about $1,100 a month.
That's what I've been seeing, and I don't listen. Again, I don't want to say I don't know about you because I do know about you. And yeah, like we're not paying a lot. In no universe, we grew up around the same time. I'm guessing like if a car note was more than $250, that was too much.
Yeah, I remember paying $320 for a brand new Saturn, and my friends thought I was insane.
Yeah.
When I say friends, I mean the older coworkers that I worked with at that time.
Yeah, like what are you doing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's too much. All right.
Yes.
So those are the specs. I again, this should be compared directly to the Model X, but it is real neck and neck. In some cases, the Model Y comes in a little bit higher, but a BMW and a Model Y do not have the same fit and finish and comfort. So what do you like about the Model Y? And then we'll talk about what you like about the iX.
So, and specifically the refreshed 2025 Model Y.
Sure.
I like the sleeker front, the LED bars. I actually saw one last night out of my river view window. It was coming past me, and I was just marveling at it. It's like, man, that looks nice. It's like a weird Knight Rider thing. Again, I'm old. The seats, the power seats in the back, and I have to take, I go to IKEA and things sometimes and have to pull my seats down. And the fact that it's, well, at least with the 2024, it has I think the latch is a little bit better. So I think you can have it go down with the latch, but you can't have them pull back up. That's a change. It's a little thing. It's not worth buying a new car for, but I do like that. It's, their power down and up. Very convenient. And I mentioned the suspension before, and I really mean that. Again, I watched a ton of videos on the Y. I have not test drove it myself, and I need to do that. I just fear if I test drive it, I'm going to leave out with that car, and then worry about the consequences later. So I know how I am, so I'm going to hold off on that. But better regen braking, better suspension, should be nicer on the road from the videos I've watched. And again, and I mentioned that I don't have that many passengers with me, but sometimes, I have friends. And I just think having a screen in the back is nice. It's an option that cars in that kind of price range start having in there. I just think it's something that the X has had for a while, if I'm not mistaken. And, it's nice to have that come to the Y.
It is your passengers shouldn't have to ask you permission to turn the heat down or, the AC up or whatever. They should just be able to manage that on their own.
I agree.
And cars that are far less technically advanced have that ability to so they can control their own climate in the back at the bare minimum, and taking away nothing from the fact that you can watch Netflix back there and all the other stuff.
Yeah, and then finally, I've had a Tesla since 2021. This is my second one. I haven't tried the full self-driving until May of this year. A friend finally was like, dude, come on. You drive to Vegas sometime. You turn it on, you'll see. And I don't know if I don't think scared is the word. I just didn't have confidence in it. I this year, and full disclosure, I've partnered with Waymo. So I have been compensated for them, but I've done 2 videos. One is about to come out in a few weeks with them. It was my first time trying it. Now, I was more comfortable trying a Waymo because I'm looking at the 20 plus cameras that's on it. And I've seen this thing at the top, and I'm like, hey, this has more eyes and more attention than a human ever would. And my Tesla doesn't have any of this. It's relying on whatever many cameras it has. I don't know if it's 7 or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that just felt safer to me. And then when I did the video, I'm blown away. I'm like, this is comfortable. But doing the Waymo got me more comfortable to try the full self-driving. So I paid, and also the price, it went down to $100 a month. So I'm like, okay, that's reasonable. 200, I just didn't want to do. 100 a month, I'll give it a try. And I've been using it ever since. I take drives with it, and I think LA is mapped pretty well. So it goes about anywhere. It goes right up to my door. I don't have it set to like open my garage and go in. I might have a feature. I just don't know how to do that. But it gets right to my house. It's really one of the best features in a car I've ever had. If I went to the BMW, I would grossly miss that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the BMW does have like the lane keep assist, and it does have the minimum travel and stuff like that. And it's had those features, like those upper end cars like Mercedes and stuff. They've had those kind of things forever.
Yeah. Guess what I just tried 2 or 3 days ago?
What's that?
It popped up out of nowhere. I was in an area and I had to parallel park. And, I know how to parallel. I'm from Chicago. So, and I say that because a lot of people have never had to parallel park. And they get a rental car and they get to a big city and they panic. So I pulled upside to it and I looked at the screen because I saw something pop up and it said P. And I'm like, oh, it can park it for me? I forgot that it has that. And I remember you talked about that in I think the last episode I listened to. And so I pressed it and flawlessly, I mean, I would have done fine, but the fact that it just kind of did it. And I was like, oh, this is good. It's not a revolution. I know other cars do it, but I've never used it. So that was like, that's cool, man.
Yeah, I was so excited about that feature. I had used it the day before going to work. And then when I was pulling into work, my buddy he pulled in behind me and I waited for him to park. I backed up and I was like, get in my car. It's like, what? I was like, get in my car. And he gets in the car and I show him how it does it. And he was not impressed at all.
Yeah, there's the things we're all excited about. They're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. All right. So I all of the things that you like about the Model Y, especially the refresh Model Y, I love. I hate how stiff my car is. It does feel uncomfortable sometimes, especially on not great roads. Most of the roads in Phoenix are fine, but going over speed bumps and things like that, you definitely feel it. The one thing when I was checking out my car when I got it, I pulled the lever to let the seat down, and it felt like I broke it. And the guy was standing next to me and I was like, is this normal? And he goes, oh yeah, that's fine. It's like, it doesn't feel very strong or sturdy, but yeah, so I agree with all those things. What do you like about the iX?
So I'll just say BMW quality. I've owned 2 BMWs before, the X3 in 2017 and 2007. I had the 325i. So I've just known the brand. And the fit and finish, the suspension. I know I keep talking about suspension, but man, it makes a big difference. I almost feel like you go back. It's like I feel like I went back in time. Like, why does this car feel like this? And I'll just say, this isn't specific to the iX, but Apple CarPlay. I'm an Apple user, and God, man, I miss Apple CarPlay so much. Mm-hmm. Yes, my Tesla has the Apple Music app, and yes, that's the podcast app. I listen to you all the time on there. And so that's half of it, and I get it, but like messaging and other stuff, I just miss it. It just makes it's not as nice as it could be. But man, I again, iX is a dangerous car. I haven't test drove it for the same reason I told you, but I've studied it a lot, and I love the inside. It just, as I get older, Bodie, I just it's not that I need to have luxury, but I just would like to one day. I would like, and that car just looks luxurious. I love the stitching on the seats, the quality of the leather, how it looks, and the dash, and man, the big one for me is the super wide screen panel like that, because I'll be honest, I do miss having something in front of me as I'm driving, just to glance, because if you, especially if the Tesla doesn't like you prolonging looking at, especially if you're doing the self-driving, looking over to the right. It thinks you're not paying attention. It's like, well, it's the only place I can look to check my stats. Give me a break. So having that screen in the front would be huge for me. And then it has just like that extra long, beautiful screen, which one day I could see the Apple CarPlay Ultra. I don't know if BMW is going to let them integrate it, but if they did, it would look beautiful on that.
Sure.
That screen. I know a lot of people don't like the grill. That's a huge controversy. I don't know why I like it. I like the way the iX looks. Like I said, I had the X3, and this looks better to me than the X3. And so, when you put up, and also having the BMW will have the Apple, what is it called? Car key, the key.
Oh yeah.
It's a,
The basically the car key feature for your iOS app or for
yeah.
your iOS device.
Does my Tesla do the same thing? Sure. So I'm not using that as like a key feature, but just I have Apple, the one for the house and all that. Just having it all integrated is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think the BMW quality. I really like the way the car looks. It has really good ratings. It's the only one I've been considering that's comparable, I feel, in terms of height and look to the Y. And again, to my baseline X3, which I really love that car. I would have kept that if I hadn't got to the Tesla.
Yeah. Now again, some of the information I'm getting is mixed, but it either comes standard with air suspension or there's an option for air suspension, which makes it even nice. Like
I would do the option.
Yeah, before the Y came out, I was driving a Model X. Not that I could have afforded a Model X, but I was driving a Model X with my oldest. And we were driving through neighborhoods in Scottsdale, and obviously the car was kind of mapped for this area. But when we went over this speed bump, the car, he's like, stop it right here and feel. And the car raises up. We go over the speed bump, and then it goes back down. And it was just like, it was a really good demo. First of all, the Model X. But second, like that air suspension, it rode so nice. So nice. And that's why when I put my money down for a Cybertruck, I didn't get the base model. I bumped it up to the $50,000 model, which will never come out, but because it had air suspension, because I liked that feature so much.
Yeah, I have to try that. That sounds that's something I will pay extra for if, money willing.
Sure. So you talked a little bit about the BMW features for autonomous driving. Is that enough to keep you away from BMW?
No. I think there's, will I miss it? Yes, but I think there's enough of, if it, it has the basic features kind of keeping you in the lane, like the enhanced cruise control. It's not the same. It doesn't change lanes for you and all that, but I use the enhanced, what was the free autopilot, the one that comes base. I use that all the time in my other one. So, just keep you in the lane. That was good. You just have to keep your hand on the wheel and, let it know you're there. That's only irritation. But yeah, I think I would adjust because of the other benefits, the CarPlay, the fit and finish. I would adjust, but I would miss the autopilot. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if BMW is planning on having a similar system. I'm sure at some point they have to, just to keep up with the technology.
Yeah, it sounds like their highway assistant. It honestly sounds like it's a mix, but it really seems like, to me, it leans more towards autopilot than it does to full self-driving. Whereas the personal pilot, whenever that comes out on whatever cars it's going to come out on, I would imagine if your car costs close to $100,000, that's going to roll out to that specific car.
That's another good point. That's the disparity, right? The car that costs for me a lot less is better, in a lot of respects to the way I drive than the one that's 3 times the cost, 2 times the cost. It's a hard sell off that. And, a lot of people buy cars on emotion, right? Or just brand loyalty. And that's where a lot of car sales come from. So, that's, I lean that way because I have a lot of trust in a brand, but, it's there's an economy I have to consider too as an independent, person that works for themselves.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's go to what you don't like about the Model Y. And suspension is obviously one. What else?
The fit and finish annoys me. I'll try to see how I can explain it. Where your left leg is, there's a panel that's there on the side, not past the door, and it just every so often it just pops out, and I have to go and push with my leg to push it back in. And it's when I see that happen, I initially just say, God, this car is so cheap. Like why not take care of that? When I had my 2021 in a seat, they hadn't screwed in or the panel that's on the side that has the buttons to move your seat up and down. That whole thing fell off as soon as I got in the car. And so I'm at the place because they don't really interact with you. Hey, there's your car, open that, bye.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, no, you all gotta, I'm not leaving. You all gotta take care of this. This is a basic thing. So that gets annoying. It's not a dislike per se, but again, once you see other cars I mentioned the screen, I know I just would like to have that. I know, does the X have the screen in the front? I believe it does.
The X has a portrait screen in front.
Yeah. So it has, so you have to spend more money for that. What else? I gotta be honest, I don't have many dislikes for the Ys. Again, the fit and finish is annoying. Other than that, it's been fine. Having good service and everything when I do has been very easy to do. Yeah, I'm to be honest, I just don't have any dislikes. I saw the question and I just thought, like, no, maybe I wish it can go through a regular car wash without the fear of the paint being, I have to get a hand wash. So I spend a little bit more on that versus I'd love to go through one of those, like, hey, you pay, we have those $9.99 unlimited washes a month.
Right.
And I would love that. I would go in weekly, but I have to pay for a hand wash because the paint, I don't know if that's gotten better with the 2025, but the paint has notoriously been very cheap on these cars. So.
Yeah. So I did double check, and the new Model X's have a landscape. It's a bigger landscape screen in the front, and it does have the screen in the back as well. So the old ones had the portrait. But can I tell you, and maybe you already know this, so stop me if you already do. But one of the things that happened during the pandemic is Tesla couldn't get certain parts and things like that. Mm-hmm. So they had Tesla employees running all over Northern California, gathering little bits and pieces of parts where they could so that they could build cars. And that might be why that was never screwed in properly, is just like they had to wait for a part. They installed the part and they shipped the car or whatever, because somebody had to run to Micro Center or whatever to grab something.
That's actually hilarious. And I get it. I get that time. That's why I didn't give them too much crap for it. I was just like, but I don't know how to do this. Can you all? And they did. They did. I waited another half hour. They got somebody out. They did it. It was done. It never came off again. The refresh model, no problem. I think they even redesigned it. So, because I checked, it doesn't pull out as much. But yeah, I just hate seeing things like open my door and the panel is hanging off from the side. Yeah. I'm like, dude, come on.
Yeah, this is still a $50,000 to $60,000 car.
Absolutely.
Like when I bought my first used Mitsubishi pickup truck, there were certain things about the radio that I was willing to tolerate because it cost $6,000.
Yeah, at that price, you can let things go.
Right.
Yeah.
But when the most money I've ever spent on a vehicle in my entire life, I don't want to have any issues.
Exactly.
For a long while.
For a long time. That's why we tend to buy newer, at least I do, as I gotten older, I can afford it, newer cars. People are very, you should get a used car. And I've gotten them before. I'm not against them, but at a certain point, I don't want to think about stuff. I want to get in the car and everything, all the bolts are in there and everything works.
Yeah. I work with I'm going to be nice and just call him a ding dong. And he's like, I'll never buy a used car. You should never buy a used car. It's the worst financial decision you ever make. Blah, 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 blah. All right. Again, I'm breaking in here. What he said was he would never buy a new car. I said used car. I was wrong. I'm the ding dong in this situation. But he said he would never buy a new car because it was a terrible financial decision. All right, let's get back to my rant. And it's just constantly with this stuff. And I was like, dude, if people like me didn't buy new cars, you wouldn't have used cars. So shut up.
There you go. Thank you.
Like you, I think it's great that you're only going to buy used cars. That's fine. I have a certain tolerance for what I'm willing to deal with. and I keep my car for 10 years. So I don't get rid of my cars very often. So,
oh, that's a long time.
Yeah. And Lamarr, very rarely do I have these huge repair bills. I do have them occasionally where they're $1,800 or $2,500, but it doesn't come up all that often because we maintain our cars really well. We do a lot of research when we buy the car, so we make sure we're going to get something that's going to last that long.
Right.
But by and large, like when I buy my car, first 5 years, I don't want to think about anything other than oil changes. With the electric car, you don't have to do that. All I got to do is put wiper fluid in and make sure the tires are rotated.
Yeah. Which reminds me, I need some more fluid.
Yeah, that's for me, that's worth the price of admission. Like I don't like having a car payment either, but once that car payment's done, we're golden as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, if I didn't have business benefits, if I wasn't running my own thing, I think the idea of leasing, I would have probably invested in a car. And also, I know it's not part of our questions, but with EVs, I am not at the point yet because I waited years to buy a Tesla. I had to be in a place where I could charge at home. I just had certain parameters. I don't want to be trying to find a charger. But the main thing is, just having an EV is. I can't believe I lost my thought. But but one of the main things is just
the technology changes so fast.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I literally thank you so much. No, that's I shouldn't have said anything about the charging. The technology changes on it so fast that to invest in an EV for 10 years seemed like I would be so behind in tech, and I'm a tech guy, right?
Sure.
That's thank you for reminding me. I'm a tech guy, so I wanted, I think 3 years is a good time, and by then the technology has changed drastically. I do think, Bodie, at one point, it just like with the iPhones or Android, whatever you use, like it gets to a point where, hey, it's about where it's going to be, and we're good. I remember when the smartphones came out, and I got one every year because they were, but I think we're going to get I think we're at that point now where it's just like, yeah, a little update here, a little update there. EVs are not there yet. They're still in this young, trying to figure out the batteries, trying to figure out features. So I just kind of want to keep up with that.
Yeah. My wife sort of knows this, but I'm really looking at that Scout EV pickup truck. So I might not keep mine for as long as, but we'll see. Like next month, my car will be paid, or this month, what are we in July, that my car will be paid for. So I won't have any payments after that. So
congratulations.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Love that more than I love having a new car. But that is definitely like I being in this place. I used to upgrade my iPhones every year, just like you. Now it's every 3 years. I upgrade my Macs now every 5 years. So we have a family upgrade cycle that goes. The watches are every 3 years, off cycle from the phones because you can't afford to do it all together.
Exactly.
But yeah. All right. Well, what about the iX? What are some of your hesitations about the iX?
The price, one of them. the price is number one. The hold up. I would say now this isn't fair to say because I'm basing it off a regular car, but I just noticed that the BMW I did have long term. Man, when it gets out of warranty, it's great up until and then like all heck broke loose of like the cost of everything. But again, I haven't ridden a BMW EV. It doesn't have the transmission go out or something. Sure. So I don't have that
oxygen sensors.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. There's not much I could say that's negative because I haven't tried it. I like the way it looks. I like most things about it. I would say not having an NACS adapter. Built in natively.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. And I don't know if they said they're coming. You would probably know if BMW agreed to like put it in the next year or so.
They are on the list, or at least the last list that I saw with Mercedes, but they're not currently doing it. So
gotcha.
It's kind of I would imagine that companies like Rivian, it's easy. You know, they got 2 cars to transfer over and they control the full stack. Mercedes is a little bit different, and BMW and other companies like that. So I would imagine as newer models come out that aren't based off of legacy platforms, we'll start seeing that.
Yeah. So again, just to sum it up, price definitely way higher than it should be in my, just in my humble opinion. And the confusion about the autopilot, like how I just need to see it. I need to feel it.
Sure.
Because I've gotten spoiled, which, I pay for it monthly now because I see the value in it.
So you mentioned, if anybody doesn't know what you do for a living, you create content on the internet that millions of people love and enjoy, including me and my family. I talked a little bit about that before the show. Could you see yourself I know you've filmed some videos in your Model Y, although you don't necessarily call it out specifically. I just recognize that the car you're in is a Model Y. Can you see this as being something as part of your content creation strategy?
Man, that's such an interesting question. I hadn't really thought about that. I know at least when I got to 2021, I did like unveiling, showcasing. I called it unboxing my car because I do unboxing videos. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
But man, you raised a good question because after that initial showing, I'm not sure what else I would do. Now, let me say, if it's the Tesla, if I stay in that family, the updates, talking about the updates in terms of like, oh, look at the new games they have, or now they have Disney Plus back, if they, I don't think they have it yet, but like if those kind of updates of, hey, look at this cool thing that's in here now. Let's listen to some of the horn sounds. I think that those are video worthy. I do short form vertical, so those short bites. I can see that, but I'm gonna be honest, Bodie, with the BMW, once I do the first video, I don't know what I could show people continuously that would make them interested. I'm stumped on that question because I haven't really done car content. I watch people. I watch MKBHD. I watched a few other people who have a autofocus channel, but they're showing different cars every time. It's not the same car. And here are my continual monthly updates. So if you got any ideas for me, let me know.
Yeah, well, it's definitely something to think about. I know when Marquez had his Model S, the first Model S Plaid, I think, is what he had. He had a lot of videos about that, but then I think that's been covered. So that's a really good point. And I don't know, I'm not familiar enough with BMW's platform to know whether or not they have anything super interesting on the horizon that you can continue to cover. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
So I had a thought, so I don't know if you could return the favor and deliver that thought back to me, but we're talking. So I'll just move on.
Okay.
Have you ever watched those British home shopping shows? Like they'll show 2 different homes and then there'll be like a third one that is just kind of like out of left field that nobody's really looking for, but you could potentially fall in love with.
I think I've seen something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that for us today. I read an article and I was going to, before you hit me up yesterday, I was already going to mention this in the show and I was going to save it as a surprise, but then it was like, well, it's probably better for the show that you get a chance to look at it. So Mercedes has a new lease deal, and it's a 2024 Mercedes EQB, which is around $52,000 to $57,000 vehicle. But the deal is $4,000 due at signing, 36 months, 30,000 miles, and $299 a month, which I think is that's a pretty low price to get into a Mercedes.
It is, and I'm going to tell you, I had never heard of this car before. And when you put it in here, I looked at it and I'm just like, it's doesn't look that different. I've never driven the Mercedes brand, and what is it, around 50,000 compared to the 80,000, if I'm not mistaken. and it looks like it's luxury. So I put it through ChatGPT to ask, give me the comparisons of these two, and they did the basic spec comparison, and they were like, hey, if you just want top tier luxury, it's like BMW it's just another level. So it was clear on that, but he said it was not that. He's like, there's not. He said it's there. I say he because I named mine, but it's cheaper, and and you're not losing really. I haven't looked at all the specs, but it's in my ChatGPT somewhere. But it's like you're not really losing that much in terms of the features, and you get to come in, you still get a nice luxurious car. So you threw me like a curveball here, and I like that you did that, because that you forced me to look at a third option, and I just wanted to stay in my bubble and just only think that the iX exists. And use
the EQB doesn't quite. I mean, it has all of the luxury, like you said. Like when the Jaguar I-Pace came out, I went to look at it at a dealership near my house, and the guy wouldn't let us drive it because I had my two kids with me. I'm sure that's why. And maybe because I looked like I could afford it. I don't know. He was nice and answered all the questions, but no test drives. But that car was like this is probably not safe for work, but I just wanted to lick every inch of that car. It just looked lickable. And I know that that's gross and weird, but it was like on a level of comfort and luxury that I was not used to. At that time, I was driving around like a Mazda CX-9, which was nice, but not anywhere near as nice as these vehicles.
Okay, well, I can see the lickable part if you came from that. Okay, I'll let you pass.
Yeah, well, that's how when you're a little, when you lick something, you owned it then, so nobody else wanted it.
This is true.
The guy wouldn't let me lick it either, just so everybody's aware. But my buddy, the guy that's married to my friend who has the Mercedes SUV EV, he has an Acura EV, and he has a similar lease where it's super cheap. I think he pays like $199 a month for his Acura EV lease. He just got an amazing deal on it. The range on the EQB is 250 miles. The range on the Acura is right around that. And I was asking, I was like, Dan, are you okay with this range? He works from home. He doesn't drive a whole lot. And they have the Mercedes if they need to go a little bit further. But he's like, I just charge it to 100%. He's like, it's a lease. I don't care. I was like, oh, that's really, I mean, if you're going to charge your Model Y or your X-Drive, your BMW to 80%, you're not too far if you're going to charge your EQB to 100%. It's in that same range.
That's true.
But it does get it's a little less. It's not 0 to 60 in 8.5 seconds. Doesn't charge as fast. It goes faster. It goes 130 miles an hour.
Okay.
But yeah, you're in the ballpark if you squint your eyes and tilt your head.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I said, it has CarPlay, has the systems, the digital stuff I'll be interested in. The AI call it like just a solid daily driver, which can be said for almost a lot of cars.
Sure.
Yeah. But it's, I like the look of it. I like the, it seems great. It's a solid car. So, if I was, when I finally make my decision, it will be included now. And I don't know. You stumped me. I wasn't expecting this curveball, sir. So,
well, thank you.
Yeah.
Glad to stump. Yeah. We should also say that with everything with Mercedes and BMW, there's all sorts of different flavors. And so we're just giving you the starting price, the starting range, the starting everything. So if you look at it and you're like, well, this car has 280 miles of range, that vehicle probably costs more. But I think I like my friend's Mercedes. I didn't drive it because we were only there for a day, and I didn't want to be. She would have let me, but I didn't want to be like, "Can I drive your car?" But myself and her husband, we got in, and he was showing me some things, and the interface is fairly slick. Like it did not feel confusing when I was tapping around on things. It was super, super comfortable to sit in. I think it has ventilated seats. The EQS does. I don't know if the EQB does.
Okay.
But yeah, just like overall, just a nice option for a fairly decent price.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I just want to clarify. It's not I'm not married to any of these brands. It's like I have to drive BMW to show. Like I'm well past that age about trying to prove anything to anyone. It's 100% about me at this point. My younger self, yeah, but my younger self also drove 3 Dodge Neons for years. So I didn't start with BMW. So I got the BMW honestly because my aunt was in the military in Germany for years, and she's like, look at BMW. This is all they drive. And I found one on Carbacks at 2007 for $25,000. And I'm like, oh, I always assumed BMW was $50,000 plus. I didn't think I can ever afford one. So when I saw I can afford one, I got it. And I was like, and it lasted 11 years for me. So
yeah. And this is a judgment-free zone, because you would not believe the amount of email I get. There is a large population of people that don't keep their cars for 3 years. They're
oh really?
Well, I wouldn't say large. I get more emails than I would think, where people are 2 years in, or they have a 2-year lease and they're moving on to something else because they want that thing that is the new technology, the new battery chemistry, like you said.
I'm kind of I should have said really, because my mind, but I'm used to accelerating tech, so I get it. I get a new iPhone every year. Again, it's part of my business, so I can justify it. I have to review or talk about them. So if I'm going to do that with a car, then you better believe I will find some content to do on it to justify it.
Well, just like I know you've said this in the past, when people ask, how do I get people or companies to send me stuff, you got to buy stuff and do content. There is a whole, especially with the platform that you've built for yourself, there is a whole bunch of car companies that would line up to let you borrow cars for long periods of time to get that content for sure.
I had that happen in 2017 before I got that X3. I had a Kia Sportage for about a month because it was some company that loaned cars to like influencers or whatever to do minimal content. And I was only for 3 days. No, it was like a week. And I was like ready to take, but they're like, what do you think? I was like, oh, I love it. I didn't think I would like this. This car is great. And like, why don't you keep it 3 more weeks? So yeah. Cause I almost bought that car because I was in the market for that size. And in the BMW kind of, it's the same size, kind of won out. But yeah, I haven't investigated that to see if that, maybe I need to find a BMW rep. I don't think Tesla does anything like that because they don't have to.
No, they have enough fanboys that post on the daily for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Lamarr. We mentioned you're a content creator. If folks want to find out more about you, where should they go?
Yeah, I'm not on X, but other than that, I'm at Lamarr Wilson at all the places. TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can find me at Lamarr Wilson if you want to follow my career there. And I do tech lifestyle content and a lot of unboxings and showcases of just cool everyday life tech.
Yeah, so, and it's Lamarr with 2 R's.
With 2 R's, yes. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, Lamarr, thank you so much for coming on and sharing. This was a good chat. I told you 30 minutes. I kept you for an hour, so
I was prepared for it. So no worries. We could talk all day.
Yes,
I
sir.
like work. I like talking with you. Yeah.
Same.
Hey, it's Maya and Sim from the Girls That Invest podcast. If you are an IT or security pro, you know managing devices, identities, and applications can feel overwhelming and honestly risky. That's where Trellica by 1Password comes in. It helps conquer SaaS sprawl and shadow IT by discovering every app your team uses, managed or not. With pre-built app profiles, you can assess risk, manage access, and even optimize your software spend. Plus, it simplifies onboarding, offboarding, and compliance, all while cutting costs by eliminating unused licenses. Take the first step to better security for your team. Learn more at onepassword.com/special offer.
Out here, it's not only the amazing views, but the way time stretches out a little longer. and how the breeze hits just right at the summit. With All Trails, you can discover nature's best with over 450,000 trails around the world. Download the free app today.
All right, everybody, that is our conversation with Lamarr Wilson. I have had the opportunity a few times now to sit down with Lamarr, both on camera and behind the scenes after we've recorded, and I really enjoy chatting with him. And he's welcome on the show anytime he wants to come on. But if you want to find out what Lamarr is up to, I would highly suggest that you go to any of the social medias and you just type in Lamarr with 2 R's, Wilson, and you'll find all of the stuff that he's doing. And honestly, he's doing a lot. He's talking about the Nintendo Switch 2, if that's something you're interested in. He just got this. He reviews some of these really cool, just lifestyle gadgets. Like he has a automatic paper towel dispenser, which is actually really cool. So I would highly suggest going out, checking out what Lamarr's up to. Again, that's Lamarr with 2 R's. So it'd be at Lamarr with 2 R's Wilson, and give him a follow if you're not already following. All right, everybody, that is it for me today. I'm really hoping that I'll actually be able to get an episode out on time on Tuesday, which I'm pre-recording this, but I'm assuming that's going to get out on Tuesday on time, and an episode on time on Friday. I'm super hopeful. All right, everybody, have a great week, and I will talk to you soon.
Listen up! You can get the new iPhone 16e with Apple Intelligence for just $49.99 when you switch to Boost Mobile. We pulled so many all-nighters to give you this deal, and hey, stop messing with the mic!
I'm just helping us catch people's attention. This is a great deal!
Exactly, so it doesn't need all that.
Fine.
Head to your nearest Boost Mobile store right now.
Visit your nearest Boost Mobile store for full offer details. Apple Intelligence requires iOS 18.1 or later. Restrictions apply.
Hey, it's Maya and Sim from the Girls That Invest podcast. If you are an IT or security pro, you know managing devices, identities, and applications can feel overwhelming and honestly risky. That's where Trellica by 1Password comes in. It helps conquer SaaS sprawl and shadow IT by discovering every app your team uses, managed or not. With pre-built app profiles, you can assess risk, manage access, and even optimize your software spend. Plus, it simplifies onboarding, offboarding, and compliance, all while cutting costs by eliminating unused licenses. Take the first step to better security for your team. Learn more at onepassword.com/special offer.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.